And I'm gonna set the
Get
timer.
Wow! Fuck!
Rolling on both hands.
I'm kidding. I'm definitely gonna cut that part out. Guys, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. I have my favorite couple in entertainment right now. You guys,
We made it.
you just beat Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Oh,
Yo.
hell yes. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. But like, I always do these really long introductions for everybody.
Yeah.
But I really feel like you two do this. And you two run your own very successful YouTube pages and social media pages. So I'd really like you to introduce yourselves and just tell us about like what each of you do.
I am on YouTube. My name is Caleb Janssens. That's probably my primary platform is actually on YouTube. So I don't want to say necessarily that I'm a YouTuber, because as much as I do, dedicate a lot of time to it, it's not the only thing I do. But yeah, I would say like if you want to find my primary platform, it is YouTube, and I primarily do movie reviews through there or video essays. But I'm starting to lean a lot more into events coverage as well. And then also, for those of you that are curious, I'm also It's Not Common Sense 13th subscriber. So that's also a bit of a milestone for me right there.
How did you
And the
remember
first
that?
one to comment.
I was the first one to
You're
comment.
the absolute first one to
yeah.
comment on any of our content ever. Yeah, you've been amazingly supportive throughout the entire process, man.
If there's one thing I've always appreciated in any way, shape, or form, it's actually building people up, and that's definitely something that this podcast does. We, especially here as South Africans, especially South African content creators, and that's very much what we are. We understand what it's like to start off on a journey that's very difficult. Very often it feels like this is definitely an industry that's built up for a more westernized audience, especially for those people in America or Europe, people who have access to the greatest equipment or all of the information and knowledge you could possibly need.
Fast internet.
Exactly. But the truth of the matter is we can make it here in South Africa as well. And that's definitely something I've always tried to promote. And that's something that your show does indirectly as well, by building people up. And so that's why I gravitated so quickly towards it, because it is something that I feel very passionately about.
Shut up, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, no, you go.
Okay.
She's the best. This is my wife. This is my wife. This is actually going to be our yeah. We got married what, like 4 or 5 days ago?
Yeah, like 5 days ago.
5 days ago. We're wearing our rings now, which is dope, which is really, really cool.
Seems like a weird flex.
Who would not flex about being married to someone so incredibly amazing and fantastic?
These people still don't know who I am, though.
Her name, you go.
Okay,
You go.
it's fine. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to rethink my whole intro because I've changed my surname now. Okay, well, I'm Dani. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can find me on Instagram or YouTube as Psycadillo. I'm primarily a cosplayer, but I do lean into more of the gaming and esports side of things, and just an overall geek enthusiast.
Yeah. I would say both of us just geek enthusiasts at the end of the day.
Yeah, just geek enthusiasts. Yeah, I've done cosplay work for gaming companies like Ubisoft. I've done work with Netflix. Yeah. You make
yourself sound so much cooler than me. I've also got my own podcast. I have to throw that in there so that I don't seem like I'm being overshadowed by my amazing wife.
It sounds like you're overshadowing me.
She's been on my podcast. Yeah, you were on 3 episodes.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And she was great in them. I love you.
Okay. Well, before I break up this marriage, let me actually just ask about like the origins of both of your careers, because Caleb, I know that I went to film school with you. We actually both went to AFTA. We don't tell people this because it's a secret and nobody likes AFTA.
It's true.
But we both went to AFTA, but we didn't let AFTA really define us like it does a lot of people in terms of, they want you to be a certain type of filmmaker.
Yeah.
Or a certain type of content creator, so to speak, where a very snooty kind of thinking of
100%.
it. You were very free thinking, you were very collaborative, and you went more into the videography scene and then pivoted back into this world. Tell me about that kind of process.
Okay, so my relationship with AFTA has always been very, very tricky. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say here, but I'm not a big supporter or fan of AFTA in many ways. And I actually left after just 1 year. I felt like I truly wasn't learning enough at all. In fact, in many situations, I say I've learned exactly one thing from AFTA, and that's when you're filming, you're not supposed to pass that 180-degree line. That was like the one thing I learned.
Nice.
So I decided, you know what, I'm going to unfortunately just like, you know, put an end to it. And I went straight to get an internship in an actual media house. And I worked with them. And I was doing editing and photography and videography. And it was crazy because the amount that I learned there, being like forced hands-on to work, where like there's consequences to your actions. In university, in many ways, shapes or form, like the worst you get is a failing grade. That's the worst that can happen.
Also, can we talk about that failing grade thing? Because you can fail a grade, you can fail an entire year and then just do winter school, and then after winter school do summer school and just pay to keep going and push through.
Exactly. Whereas in the real world, there are consequences to your actions. If you miss something, you lose a client, or you get fired. There's actual consequences to your actions. And so that pushed me to get faster at editing, to get faster and delivering, not just delivering work, but delivering high quality work.
And you were using this videography to support yourself too. You weren't living with your parents.
Yeah. No, I was. So I only moved out 2 years ago.
That was last year.
Well, it was last year, but like we were through this year anyway. So I'll remember my timeline as things go on. But so I started off as an intern. I was still living with my parents then, but I realized like I want to learn faster. Like I was learning at a rapid pace, but I want to learn faster, and that's why I started YouTube. YouTube actually started out as an editing exercise for me. So I could edit a variety of different videos in different ways. So if you watch my older content, a lot of it has been unlisted because like I found it like really embarrassing and cringe, But a lot of it was very diverse. There were vlogs, there was tons of esports stuff on there as well. There was tons of gaming stuff. So it was really a way for me to figure out different ways of filming and different ways of editing. And I went straight from that job as an intern into working as a full-time videographer for a film production company. And in 2020, we actually went across South Africa filming documentaries. And we filmed I ended up working for them. And I filmed a documentary series, a documentary movie, and I edited another documentary series. And you can find those all on Amazon Prime. But before I left, that's
you guys are just throwing these humble flexes. Yeah.
Well, I don't have much to say about
this. But out of all of that, the greatest thing was before I left. That's when I met Dani, and we ended up having to do long distance for 9 months.
Yeah.
And that's
super long distance.
That was a super long distance as well. And like there were places where I didn't have any connection at all, so we'd go days without speaking to one another.
Wow.
And eventually, I told her, I was like, you know what? After this job, like I'm going to move up to Joburg to be with you. And but I told her, I was like, if I move up, that's not because I'm going to move up to date you. I'm going to move up to marry you. So I moved up with every intention of marrying Dani, and then we got engaged in just the coolest way possible. And now we're married and everything. But even in my time up here in Joburg, well, we're on our honeymoon right now in KZN, but even in Joburg, I've had 2 different jobs. One is a full-time photographer, one is a creative director for another company, and then even now I'm an executive producer for a podcast company. So I've always been deliberately trying to put myself in situations where I'm forced to learn more and forced to grow, because that's a big thing. Like in everything in life, if you're learning skills, you're getting tools. And if I look at myself now in comparison to even 2019 Caleb, which is only 3 years ago, the growth is astounding. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way. I'm saying that in a way of like, I was useless 3 years ago.
For me, I can see it a lot in your ability to direct content, because I'm looking at. I still remember that film you made.
Yeah. Oh no! That was. Which one was this? Was this the one where I was like, it was Flip?
That was the one.
You drive me crazy.
The teacher girl.
Yes. Oh, no.
I've only heard horror stories.
You've never seen it.
No,
she hasn't seen it, but that's because it's hidden. It's been destroyed. No one can find that.
Yeah, that might be the end of your marriage, Dan. Okay, so then I'm getting that the major motivation for you in your life is development, growth.
Yeah.
Tell me about your journey and what is kind of your motivation and what has kind of gotten you to the point that you are at today.
Yeah, mine is definitely, I think, like self-development. Because I think we spoke before, I got into cosplay because I wanted to grow myself as a person. I was very shy, very insecure. I couldn't speak to people, couldn't look anyone in the eye. So I
Were you shy because school was just tough? Like, were people just mean? Because girls are mean.
girls are mean. My last year of high school was the worst year of my life, probably. But I was just, I think, naturally shy. My mom's an introvert, so I think I would say I'm an ambivert.
Yeah, you
now,
definitely now, yeah.
Ooh, I didn't learn a word. That almost never happens.
I recharge as an introvert, but I do enjoy social situations like this now. But back then, hated it. Loved to dress up as a kid. Loved playing imaginary games and whatnot. I went to my first gaming convention. It was Rage in 2012, and I saw people dressing up for fun there that were adults, and I was like, oh, cool. Adults can do that. That's allowed. People can do that. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't recognize any of those people. I don't know if people would recognize me if I was in costume. So the next year, I made my first costume. It was Korra from Avatar. Never made anything in my life. That was all winging it. And then I went to my first convention, and people recognized me as the character rather than myself. So in my mind, it was almost like I could put on a persona that wasn't me, because I so desperately did not like myself. I hated it. So I could pretend to be someone else, and in that I became more confident, and it forces you to speak to people, because people want to speak to you about your shared love for a fandom, or people want a photo with you, and back then I couldn't be on camera at all. I hated being, I still don't like being on camera. But
we have to psych her up when she forms her YouTube videos. It's like, come on, you can do this, come on.
I saw you walking in here, you were like, oh shit. We're doing another one.
I still struggle sometimes, but I couldn't, the only photos people had of me was just a blur, because I'd be bolting.
There's literally this one photo of her with a friend, and she's hiding under a hoodie. She's like, don't you.
I looked like a pillow on the couch, because I was like, I don't want a photo of me. So it forced me to interact with people, and from that I built, I would say, the personality that I have now.
Yeah.
I was always like this with my friends, but it allowed me to become, I don't know, like this on the outside. So through that I learned there was lots of character development, I would say, but also just technical skills, like building costumes. I've always been a creative person, very artsy kid, so I don't know, it was a great way to actually build technical skills, to learn how to take something that's essentially just an image, or especially if it's, let's say, an animated thing, it's completely flat on a screen. How do I take that flat image and translate that into a wearable component? So it teaches you a lot of problem solving techniques as well. People wouldn't think, but there's a lot of problem solving, a lot of there's even maths involved, and I suck at maths. But it was always how can I develop myself personally, and then how can I also grow my skills as an artist and have fun doing it? Because for me, cosplay was always about having fun, and it was always meant to be a hobby. It was always meant to be a little escape from the real world.
So Ricky Rick, who is a really famous South African musician who just passed away, he said to a guy by the name of Scoop Makatini, who's a great South African celebrity and hip-hop pioneer, he said that he wears eccentric clothing as armor.
Yeah.
He puts the armor on so that he can take on the day. Once you put the armor on, you can be whoever you are under it. So cosplay was almost like your armor. When you put on that Wonder Woman armor, it's like, okay, now I can build the blocks to be the person that I actually want to be. Okay, that is really cool.
That's a good way to explain it. Much better way.
I'll even say this, and I want to say this because you might sound a little bit too cocky if you say it, but and you'll agree with this, is in many ways, as much as your cosplay has allowed you to feel powerful, you've actually inspired a ton of people through it.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to say it, because otherwise people go, who does she think she is? Humble bragging about herself. Yeah, but I can tell you right now, as someone that's on the outside, when I see people coming up to Dani and they're confiding in her, and they're like, wow, this thing that you've done. And it's a variety of different things. So Dani is also incredibly, if you look at her Instagram profile, allows herself to be very vulnerable with her followers. Mental health is a big one for Dani. And not just mental health, but also body positivity and stuff like that. Everything that she struggles with, she puts on her profile. And cosplay was a big reason why she could start leaning into that. And the amount of people that I've seen come up to her and talk about how she's positively impacted them or made them feel better about themselves is I think a massive props to you as a character and your ability to build people up. Because there've even been full-grown men that have come to me and gone, I don't know if I can say this to your fiance. She was my fiance at the time, but I want you to know that she's incredible, and like she's given me inspiration to do stuff.
Wow.
And so that's something I've always looked up to in my wife, is her ability to build people up.
That's amazing. You see, it's really great for you to start off by telling us that is your motivation with regards to how you got into cosplay. To kind of be able to be more open with yourself everywhere. Because what happens a lot of the time, or what people see a lot, is that models use cosplay as a means of getting quick and easy views.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I'm a model and I maybe have like a big butt or like I have fake boobs or something, I can dress up like Power Girl, and now suddenly there's going to be 100,000 dudes who are going to be freaking out. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, how do you deal with the sexualization of cosplay?
Oh, it sucks, dude. It really sucks. I usually, it's such a struggle to address in public. It's gotten better as the years have gone on, but people really think it's a kink thing. I don't know. I suppose it could be a kink thing, but no, but if anyone's seen me try walk in my Wonder Woman, it's not possible.
I'll say this. I'll say this. Cosplay isn't actually sexy.
It's not.
It's not sexy.
It's tears. It's sweat.
As someone that's helped her, stood on the outside as well of her building cosplays, getting freaking pricks in the finger and blood everywhere and sweat everywhere. And like, honestly, like, she looks great in Wonder Woman. She does. But trust me, like, there is so much sweat under that suit. Like,
I don't know, some people are into that. I don't know. I just stopped speaking.
But like, this is the thing.
It's difficult for people to separate that aspect of what they imagine it to be from what it actually is. It's very difficult. Like, especially on social media, where people can hide behind any profile they want and they can just say whatever they want. It does get very difficult as a woman. To cosplay. I know men that struggle with the exact same thing as well, and at conventions and stuff.
How do the men struggle with it?
Men can be
Somebody's
sexualized.
like sexualizing this Ichigo.
So I'll say this. We've spoken about this in depth.
I can address this though.
Okay, cool.
No, so men can also be sexualized as well, obviously. I have a male cosplayer friend who cosplays as He-Man every convention. He has like the big muscles, the bare chest, everything.
I get it now.
Yeah, and he gets just as sexually harassed as I would in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more socially acceptable for him to get sexually harassed because he's a dude?
Yes.
Like, girls come pinch his ass, like...
Yeah, because it's not as like openly addressed as sexual harassment against women, so women think that they can get away with it because it's just a joke, which I suppose is the way that a lot of men play it off as well, but it's something that actually does need to be addressed. But it's hard to separate the sexualization of cosplay from it being a masterful craft. Like, it's the exact same thing as if I was making costumes for Game of Thrones or like any other TV show.
Yeah.
Same skills, same materials are going into it, but because I'm more of an influencer, wearing it, somehow the context gets like completely skewed.
You're a legitimate art director.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm adding that to my CV.
So this is something that we also mentioned we had Dani on an episode of our podcast, The Weekly Fundamentals, and the episode was literally called, cosplay is not consent.
Yeah.
And
that was with the girl who did actually cosplay as Power Girl.
Yes, yeah. And we did a whole talk on, you brought up the fact that people have their own mental image of what a character is and their relationship with that character. And for those of you that keep up with the cosplay scene, or just the geeks in general, know the idea of like a waifu, or that particular character.
Define a waifu.
It's just like the actual like definition. I'm not 100% sure, but that's like your fictitious wife. Correct.
Wifey.
Your wifey, yeah. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I would say that's the thing. But like the thing is, like, as much as my waifu could be Wonder Woman, like, Dani as Wonder Woman has no obligation to me. And that's something that people don't seem to understand.
I'm not that fictional character.
She is not the fictional character Wonder Woman. And this is the thing. This is where it gets dicey as well, because now Dani will be the first person to say this. Get passionate and excited about her cosplay.
Love it. Yeah.
Like, she loves engaging with fans, but in a wholesome way, in a respectful way. The moment you start to bring your own weirdness or your lustfulness into that, that's when it becomes weird. Because at the end of the day, even though she's wearing armor as Wonder Woman, she's still Daniela in her heart, in that costume, and she's still an individual, and she has her own rights and everything like that. So you're seeing this fictitious character, and you also said this, like, you have no idea what's happening in somebody's head or what they've fantasized about.
Or even just in an innocent sense. They have like a sort, like, I've had people who've had like such a strong connection to a character, and I'm more than happy to share their excitement, but it can get like a little bit overwhelming if they just, So even if it's an innocent thing, I'm still not that character.
Yeah.
I can pretend. I mean, that's the play aspect of cosplay. It's acting. So I can act to a certain degree, but after that it becomes a little.
And that's the difficult part.
Do you think that because, or I think that, let me rather phrase it. I think that because your cosplay, because you never approach cosplay from the mindset of creating it, of making a sexual product.
Yeah.
I believe that that's why you've been able to collaborate with such big brands. Because people like Ubisoft, people like Netflix, they want somebody who's going to be a wholesome icon for their different brands and groups. Just chat to us a little bit about your experiences working with them. I know we've chatted about that before on the other show, but we haven't done it on this platform.
That's fine. It's been really interesting working with such big companies because, like I said, I never set out for it to be like a clout chasing thing or professional thing at all. It was just meant to be a hobby. So Ubisoft's a company that I've loved since I was little. I've been playing the Assassin's Creed franchise since I was maybe 12.
And now you're gonna love Microsoft.
They eventually take over everything. But it's been a surreal experience to work with a company, especially on a game franchise that you've loved since like a child up until now. I've been so humbled that they've also chosen me to represent them, and that's where it becomes interesting because I do have a following on Instagram, but it's not as big as most Instagram influencers or cosplay influencers. But companies like that, you would think they go for numbers, but they actually go for the heart behind a person, which is something I never would have expected. They want someone that is just as excited about their brand as they are. They want someone who's actually played the games, who's actually just have this overwhelming love, and that's I think why they went for me as opposed to other. Also, the wholesomeness does come in. My page is extremely PG, so you know there's no possibility of them running into any problems with who they can, I don't know. If you're sharing my work, you don't want someone clicking on your page and then a child.
Butt comes up,
Yeah, someone's butt comes up. So it's been tough staying within the PG aspect of cosplay. I'm personally fine with it because that just fits my character. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing anything else. But it's also, I think, the smarter option. You don't grow as quickly, but it does get you more effective results if you're working with other companies or if you're...
I also feel like you have a longer career.
Yeah, as well.
Because like another thing that we don't talk about is a lot of these Instagram models, they have 5-year careers. You're popping for
That's
like
true,
5 years and then nobody cares about you. You hit 30 and it's like somebody's coming up who's 21. It's hard because that's the thing. That's what you're selling.
Yeah.
You're selling like quick. Like
it's like face value kind of.
Face value, yeah. I was really trying to avoid saying you're selling sex.
Face value is a good word.
Face value is a lot better. But yeah, no, that is really, really, really great. Speaking of, so you have been working with Ubisoft, Netflix. You started doing Netflix reviews on your YouTube page, but now brands are coming to you and Netflix and places are coming to you to review their content. Can you tell me about how that kind of started?
That whole like switch was such a blessing because primarily the reason I started reviewing Netflix stuff primarily was because that actually allowed me to compete with reviewers on an international scale. As South Africans, we get all of the movies later. That's just the way it works. So I get all of these American reviewers who are able to watch the movies in America early. And in fact, most of them are also invited to screeners early. So before the average American population has even watched it, they've already watched the movie. So I could never compete with American reviewers or European reviewers in that way. So I had to look for a source of content where everything was released worldwide same time. And that was Netflix. And through that, I was able to pretty much get in contact with Netflix and build a relationship with them to the point where they send me pre-screeners. Through Netflix and through my growing profile, I was then able to, get in contact with a variety of different people. And one of them just out of the blue reached out to me and said, hey, we would like to invite you to the screening of this movie. And I remember going to the movie, and there were a ton of other reviewers there, but none of them were on YouTube. They were all doing stuff for like movies and magazines and blogs and everything.
It's like people from like you,
exactly. And I was by far the youngest one there, easily by 10 to 15 years younger than everyone else.
Oh, jeez.
And what blew my mind, and what still blows my mind to this day, is everyone is going on behalf of a company. Every time I go to a different screening or a different event, they'll be like, "Cool, what company are you with?" And I'm like, "No, just Caleb." Like, and I have to explain to people that like it's for my YouTube channel. It's not for Discovery. It's not for You Magazine. It's just so I can release it, and like they don't get that because and I do appreciate it because like it's made me realize that and I don't mean to sound egotistical, but this is something that has helped me because content creation is difficult, and this is something that many people don't like to admit. It sucks sometimes because there have been videos where like, and you can ask Dani, like, because I've got my 9-to-5 job, I can only work after hours, and there'll be days where like I won't sleep because I'm editing a video. And there'll be weeks where I probably like only sleep like 3 or 4 days out of that week because I'm working, I'm grafting on YouTube, and there'll be times where I put more effort into one video than any other video, and that video just won't get any views. It bombs. And so this has been something that I've kind of like held onto, is the fact that like I've been able to put myself in a situation where I can say I'm here because of my work, and not because I'm representing a company or an organization. That is something that's kept me going. And honestly, it's all to the glory of God, in my opinion, because I've been given these gifts and talents where like I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for the role and that God has given me. And but ultimately, back to building relationships, I went to this event, and I was the only reviewer there, besides one other, that sat through all of the credits. All the other reviewers got up and left after the movie.
Whoa.
And the other reviewer saw me and he was like, "Wow, you really like movies?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." Like, and as someone, I mean, we both studied it after, as we said. Like, we've worked on sets. We understand, like, it's not just the actors who put in the hard work. And it's definitely not just the actors and the directors. There are scriptwriters. There's, like, everything.
First ADs.
Yeah, literally everything. You can sit there and watch credits, and you know that everyone that is up there is up there for a reason. And I can guarantee you, there's people that worked on that movie that aren't even in the credits. And this is what people don't seem to realize. And so it blows my mind that actual movie reviewers weren't even sitting through the credits. But one of the reviewers came out to me and he was blown away by that. I'll never forget. He's like, "You're young," and I was like, "Yes, I'm young." And he's like, "And you stayed through the credits," and I was like, "Yeah." Like, I don't understand why that's a foreign concept. But he was blown away by, and him and I have ended up becoming great friends. And he made sure, he was like, "You know what, Caleb, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you get invited to all of these events from now on." And he put me on all of the different lists.
Is that Zaid?
Everywhere. Not Zaid, no. But Zaid is a homie who I love. We've got a podcast together. Check it out, The Weekly Fundamentals. No, this is a friend of mine named Tat.
Guerrilla marketing.
If you don't subscribe right now. But no, his name is Tat. And like,
sorry, that's the second time you've done that. You know all the types of marketing.
Yeah, that's what she studied.
I studied business in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you love it too.
I'm Portuguese. I have to love business. Otherwise, we get kicked out the family.
I didn't even know that was a stereotype.
But I'll say one thing that I realized is, especially in content creation, I'm sure you can agree to this, pursue your passions. The reason people were blown away by the fact that I was sitting through the credits is because movies are my passion. In the same way, like, you are passionate about what you do. That's why you've grown.
I'm recognized.
That's why you're recognized.
Yeah.
If you get into content creation in any way, shape, or form, and passion isn't what you're pursuing, it's not going to work. If you're in it for fame, I can guarantee you one thing. Especially on YouTube, less than 1% of people that start YouTube channels ever get over 100 subscribers. And less than 1% of that 1% ever make it to 1,000.
Shucks.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're doing it for fame, that is the wrong idea. If you're doing
you're gonna burn out.
You're going to burn out quick as well.
Very quickly.
If you're doing it for money, I can tell you one thing: It's an even.
We don't make money.
We don't
I
make
like
money.
that early on. You're gonna spend money.
Yeah.
We don't make money.
So I'll say this. Like, I've been incredibly blessed by the fact that like I've been monetized on YouTube. It's a massive blessing.
It's incredibly
It's incredible. It's incredibly hard.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
Subscribe to It's Not Common Sense podcast. If you don't subscribe, you're part of the problem.
It's gonna be my new marketing. If you don't subscribe, you are part of the problem. You're a racist.
Yeah, play that race card, man. Make them sound. What's your problem?
Can you tell us
This
a
is
South African
this is
podcast?
post 1994.
Americans watching this.
Americans watching this hella confused.
Nirvana? No.
But
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so like it has to be passion, money. You're not. Sorry, I was saying I've been incredibly blessed in the fact that I am monetized, and you know the greatest month I ever did on YouTube was enough to pay off rent for a month. That was incredible.
Wow.
But that's happened 1 month. The rest is it just covers groceries and sometimes petrol as well. Dani's incredibly blessed in the fact that companies approach her and they can sponsor her and they work out agreements. I only got my first sponsored job the week before our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I've been on YouTube. I've been grafting, but this was my first proper sponsored where I also got paid to do it.
That's another thing. Let's contextualize for people, because you have been hard grafting on YouTube for more than 3 years now.
Yeah.
And you have about 3,000 subscribers currently.
I am 50 away from 4,000.
Woo! 50 subscribers away from 4,000. And it's an exponential growth, isn't it?
I'll notice like my average growth, it depends entirely on whether I have a full-time job or not.
Such a mood.
It depends on how much time and it's the same as anything. It depends how much time you can dedicate towards it. But also, and I'll say this, like you get two different types of content. You get trends and you get lifetime content. Trends are great in the fact that you get views quickly, but over a short period of time. And that's what reviews do so well. But then you get lifetime content, and that's content that will forever be relevant. And those are my more video essays. So I've got videos where, like, for example, my most popular video, over 100,000 views on YouTube.
Wow.
I only got 200 subscribers from it, which is 200 is brilliant.
Yeah, that's double man.
Yeah. 200 subscribers is beautiful, and I'm thankful for every single one of my subscribers. But when you compare it to a 100,000 viewers, that's less than 1% of people that have actually clicked the subscribe button.
That was annoying.
So, but I'll say this as well, like, I did the SEO great on that video, but you can see that video is dated in the fact that, like, I recorded it with my cell phone. I didn't use a proper, editing software. And when I'll say this, the biggest advice I can give to people who want to grow is invest into your channel. And what I mean by that is sometimes you've got to invest financially. So, for example, if you look at my early videos, it's me there with the cell phone. That's it.
It entirely depends on the content you're
It depends
creating.
entirely on the content you're creating, yes. 100%.
Mine is on the opposite
Hers
end.
is on the opposite end of the spectrum. And I think what's great about Dani and I do think this is what's great about us. We have got completely different journeys. And we can give you completely different advice that seems to contradict itself. Because I'll tell you this right now. You'll probably know this. There's somebody out there with a cell phone. And all they'll have is a cell phone, and then they could make better content than I could.
Slick Talk fucks. Sorry. Slick Talk dominates us. Slick Talk, he takes these like shitty videos on like a cell phone with the wardrobe in the background, gets 400,000 views every single video. Just talking.
So it depends entirely on the content you're creating, but I know for a fact, I'm doing movie reviews. I cannot sit down with the cell phone that can't even film in high definition, where my lighting is completely dependent on an open window, you know what I mean? People are going to watch my videos and go, bro, why are you criticizing movies when you don't even have a consistent light source?
That was a real comment.
That was a real comment I got! Although he was complaining about my audio because I was just using my cell phone. So, I took this comment, I was like, you know what, that's actually true.
Dude's onto something.
If I want to talk about movies, I need to make sure my stuff is movie grade. Like, who am I to talk about movies if my stuff doesn't look good? So that's why I say we are very, very different, because I'm actually criticizing someone. Like that's actually what I do.
So one thing that's interesting that I want to bring up on, a lot of your growth is on YouTube itself.
Yeah.
So almost all of my views come from Instagram through to YouTube. And I understand that,
Yeah. Same.
and I understand that the trickle rate, I mean, it's like, for example, if you have like 800 followers, 20% of them will see your post, right? So on a really, really, really good post, maybe 100 people will see the post. And then from those 100 people, legitimately 20 will watch your video.
If even.
Yeah.
If even. So when you get 100 views on a video, it's like, woo!
It's amazing. It's amazing, yeah.
Feel that.
And I'll say this. Out of all the social media platforms, I'll say this. Like, and this is what I'm saying, passion is the biggest thing. The algorithms are always changing. And I'll tell you this right now. Short style vertical content has taken over the world. I do not like filming reels and stuff like that. But I've had to, because that's how you stay relevant on Instagram. Instagram now, and the creator of Instagram even said this, they're no longer a photo sharing app. They only they want to shift completely into video, because TikTok came and completely changed the market. And it's unfortunate, because I thrive off of 5 to 10 minute content. That's where I thrive. But the whole market has shifted now, and I can see exactly the moment. And you'll notice this as well on all of your own Instagrams if you check your analytics. Everyone has gone down, and while that is a change in the algorithm, that's also a change in how people consume content now. When was the last time you were on Instagram and actually went through your home feed looking at people you follow rather than just swiping through reels?
That's another thing. Now on the home feed, they just put random stuff.
Yeah,
and then the follow
I
things
hate
in the
it.
corner. I'm like, bro, what about my friends?
Yeah, that's crazy, because they've also put they've increased the number of ads, they've increased the number of recommended content.
It's hard to invest into people now, which is why it's hard to grow.
It's hard to invest in people because a lot of people are fraudsters now, particularly on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are faking an entire lifestyle, a whole thing, and they are
That's our favorite
talentless.
thing.
They are talentless. That's the thing that irritates me so much. They are talentless people who are gaining legitimate fame and making money off of this in our country, South Africa.
Bro,
This is
you
how
know
my
what you mean
content
right
shut
now.
down.
We'll get a ring right there. No, screw it. We don't need a ring. Out there on the streets.
Street fight.
You know what? You can bring your friends out. The fury of 1,000 angels will power me to take you down.
Okay. What
doesn't have
was
friends.
the last thing that we were talking about? We've got about 10 minutes.
You're
left.
asking me about YouTube.
It was Caleb speaking.
Okay. Oh, he's all recording. Okay.
Sometimes for me, even.
We're back from our slight technical difficulties. And on that note, back to you, Dani.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I like listening to your voice.
But just before I go,
Yeah.
let's just chat about what your guys' like future endeavors and plans are, so that you guys can maybe do a little bit more guerrilla marketing and give us a shout about the cool new things that you guys have upcoming.
Going first, Angel.
No, you can go first because you
Okay.
have stuff.
Okay, so I'm always trying to plan stuff in advance and in the future. So Dani and I actually have an ongoing series where we travel across South Africa, and we basically go to all of the big geek stores. And we
Wow.
basically interview the owners. We basically showcase what makes these stores unique. Because I realized when I was living in KZN, as big a geek and a nerd as I am, there was no way for me to express it. There was no way. I didn't know geek stores existed. And so I'm just trying to put a spotlight on these places that have, it actually enabled me to become a better geek or whatever. Yeah.
Or just good to visit
Yeah.
places.
Like just places to visit.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Like every weekend now, we just pop over to Cosmic Comics, or
They empty our bank
they
accounts.
empty our bank accounts. But they're great, and they're just amazing people all around. So there's Smallville Comics, there's Project Mayhem, there's
Thing
great
is,
places all over the world.
You chose
South
to
Africa.
buy that deluxe edition of Why the Last Man.
But anyways, that's one thing that we're busy doing together as a couple is going across South Africa and looking at all these different geek stores. Something that I'm busy doing myself right now is, of course, the Weekly Fundamentals. I'm busy doing that with Zaid. That's our ongoing podcast, which I'm having a ton of fun with. So if you are a geek, if you are a gamer, if you are a fan of comics, check out the Weekly Fundamentals. She's on it as well for 3 separate episodes, so she's amazing and fantastic.
Why don't you tell us about the whole of Zapcast Studios and what you're doing with that?
So Zapcast Studios actually aims to change the podcasting landscape in South Africa. We aim to elevate ultimately the underdeveloped and under-evolved podcast landscape. We're in a place right now where podcasts are one of the fastest growing forms of content, yet here in South Africa it's not exposed to the average South African, or the average South African is not pursuing it. And so we're giving people the opportunity to pursue podcasts. So if you are wanting to start your own podcast, you can go check out Zapcast Studios, get in conversations with us, and we'll make sure that podcast is something that you can definitely invest into. But also, if you want to just listen to podcasts, we've got a large variety of podcasts, from things like wildlife. We have Claws and Paws. We have mental health podcasts in places like the Viral Wellness. And then, of course, we've got the shows that I'm involved with, which is Untitled Gaming Project, which is solely about video games and the gaming world. And then, of course, as I've mentioned, the Weekly Fundamentals. So Zapcast aims to completely elevate. And I've only mentioned like a small little pinch of the shows we have. I think we've got, and in the last year, we've released a total of 12 shows. So there is a massive library there. And then another thing that I'm involved with, I haven't released any episodes yet, but I've already started filming episode 3. I'm aiming on starting my own nature documentary series.
Nice.
Because I realized, like, and you wouldn't believe this, but like the documentaries you watch are not telling you the truth. Everything is dramatized. Everything is ultimately, it's fabricated. And I realized this when I was on set busy filming nature documentaries. And I was like, yo, how amazing was this story? And then the director was like, you know what, that was okay. I don't want that in the movie. Let's take this, and put this here. And that's actually how all documentaries work. You can actually sit down and watch a nature documentary, and you can go, oh, that's a great lion from the Kruger Park, and now it's in the Serengeti. And that's actually how it happens. And so I'm aiming to make a series that is 100% authentic and true. And so we started filming episode 3, Dani and I together, which was about the domestication of cats. And we actually found a cat sanctuary. Cat sanctuary. Thank you, Angel. You're so smart. We found a cat sanctuary that has over 250 house cats there. So we started filming with them. I'm going to go to one of the lion parks, filming with them. So that's something that I've been passionate about for the last few years. And it's actually great that I can finally just start living that out. And I pass the baton over to you.
Well, no, I've pretty much been quiet in the creative side of things for about a year. I've been easing into working like a 9 to 5, but now I'm working an amazing job that gives me enough time to create content. So I will be creating content, hopefully getting back into cosplay this year.
Nice.
For Comic Con.
Tell them about what you want to do.
No, I'm not. There might be some exciting like cosplay related projects.
It's very exciting.
Coming up. Don't hold me to this now. Don't hold all the viewers to what I'm gonna say. No. But I'm wanting to get back into cosplay. Hopefully this year or in the coming year, I might have more projects with other companies and stuff like that. I might have a visit to E3 if E3 ever comes up again.
Woo!
Yeah.
Let's all pray.
It is exciting. So hopefully that happens. But on my side, it's more easing back into content creation again after a little bit of a hiatus. So yeah.
And we've still got a week left of our honeymoon. That's our immediate plan. Is to go back to the beach and get more sunburns. Because
you get sunburned.
I get sunburnt like a freaking idiot. My word, my back is so freaking... It's on fire right now. I love you. She's so amazing, guys. I love my wife. I'm so happy. I'm the freaking luckiest guy in the world.
Sound like one of those pastors before like a sermon.
Yeah, before every sermon, you always see
That's
the pastor.
my wife.
That's my wife. The hot one in the front seat. Yo, that would probably be me though, hey? The next time, if I ever get the opportunity to just spit some facts in church, I'll be like, yo guys, don't pay attention to the woman in the front.
No.
I love you.
I love you.
And on that note, I'm gonna wrap up this podcast. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Your energy is just so infectious. Like, it is incredible. And there's so much that I am learning from you, and there's so much that I will continue to learn from both of your journeys that will assist me in my own content creation and just in life in general. The way you guys are so motivated to better yourselves, motivated to develop yourselves and to get to the next level in whatever it is that you're doing is just like unbelievably inspiring, you know? So thank you so much for coming on the show. And this will not be the last time.
No.
I will be on your show.
Yeah.
I will be on the Weekly Fundamentals. I never get to geek out, bro. I never, no, seriously, because I'm always around these music. I'm always around these music. I swear. I'm always around these music people and these like entertainers and all these cool dudes. Everybody's cool all the time. Everybody's cool. Nobody wants to talk about comics. Nobody wants to talk about gaming.
We literally
have
just came
connections.
from a comic book store.
Yeah.
We've got comics in the car.
I
another
can't
one.
say my nerdy stuff. I can't tell people that I'm top 50 like online in UFC in the country.
This will be a
Oh, that is
can't-
actually
That's
no, that's
impressive.
impressive.
Yeah,
Well done.
I'm really good at that game. Really, really good.
We were actually out. I was even telling Danny before we came over. I was like, you know, the last thing when I was at CP's house last time, you know, we spoke about.
Yeah.
It was Fallout New Vegas.
I had the same reaction. That's my favorite Fallout game.
And we're never gonna get another one.
I know.
They're actually in talks of potentially making a New Vegas too.
Is Obsidian gonna make it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Where are you getting this information?
I'm getting this information from the inside.
He's getting it from Gamerangs.
Yeah, Gamer Ranks.
If anyone has
CBR.com. No,
it's
I'm
me
joking.
that has a
Yeah.
gaming inside
No,
connections.
that is true. I like to live vicariously through my incredible wife. But thank you for having us on the set. And I won't know, this has been a dream come true for me, because I remember when CP started his podcast, I was like, this jerk has to have me on for one of these episodes. But I really do appreciate you having us on,
Yeah,
and like
thank
I
you.
really appreciate the content you've been creating. I've watched every single one of the episodes.
Oh,
So thank you so much, man.
So you're a great host.
You're a great
A
host.
really
thanks.
great host.
Yeah. And this is coming from Dani, and she gives great comments.
I was trying to figure out where we were like linking.
No,
I was like, I don't host anything.
Yeah, I wanted to make something. Okay, so something you have to know about me is I very often start jokes. I have no idea what the punchline is going to be.
Yeah.
And you can ask Dani, like 50% of my jokes are atrocious. They're disgustingly bad. So that was one of
They
them.
started weak and they just get worse somehow.
Okay.
Sorry.
I love you so much.
This is actually just a roast session. I'm sorry.
This is never gonna end. We're gonna
God.
cut
Our
the
marriage is on the
cameras.
rocks already.
Oh my god. Yo,
Dude, thank you so much
guys,
for having us.